Sorry. Okay, guys, we're getting ready to start. So we knew we were going to have a lighthouse today. So just make sure if you're coming in, please try to fill in seats up here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So obviously for our Y4C2Ts, right? Is there anything that you've done this week that you could give a little shout out to in terms of either win-win, integrity, customers, commitment, communication, creativity, teamwork, trust, equity, and success? While you are thinking, one of the things I don't think but I'm going to say this. So do we all know that the E, right, equity, opportunities for all, I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. What they did is, since it is our belief system, right, everything that we do, we run through this system to make sure that it makes sense. Keep in mind the one thing that Mo said, these are all on eternal truths, right? So it's true today as it will be 20 years from now, as it was 20 years ago. So one of the things though with equity, they were saying, okay, how can we actually help everybody right out there? So that's how we came up with K-Score. So K-Score is how we're helping other individuals get into the industry by paying their tuition, right? So the scholarship. And so that's I guess a real life example of how we actually filter through this belief system, because it was, keep in mind too, for the K-Score, even though they're coming through our process, they're not beholden to us. Well, let me rephrase it. I'm using an old word. They're not obligated to us. And so therefore it's opportunity for everyone, right? Because it would only be opportunity for the people that actually joined Keller-Williams if we did it that way. So just keeping that in mind, that everything we do funnels through that system. So with all that talking now, has anybody thought of anything that they could share?
I don't know where the heck he is, but Christopher put number 6 in contract last night.
6? Wow. So do you guys know Christopher? He sits in this area over here. They call it Christopher's office.
Because he's making calls.
Yeah.
So
Because he's actually doing it, right? So he put his 6 under contract, and he's been here in less than 3 months.
And they're all buyers.
And they're all buyers.
I think it's, yeah, I think one of the lists. And he just borrowed, and after that, we just borrowed one of Jessica's boxes, one too, so.
Wow. Okay. So when you guys see Christopher, please congratulate him. If there's anybody that wants to know what he's doing, right? Ask him what he's doing. He is literally here every day. What's that?
He's doing open houses, calling friends and doing open houses.
He's here every day.
He's here every day.
He is, yeah.
Very loud, very loud.
Yeah, so yeah, so please congratulate him, you guys, when you see him, because I think that's, you know, obviously culture in action. Okay, we won't keep prolonging it. We'll keep going. So TCPA compliant, please remember that you are only calling people that want to be called, right? If they're on the do not call list, please do not. There's a lot going on right now, especially because we're obviously litigation happy, right, in our country. So do your best to try to avoid any of this. So just as an FYI. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, so we don't have Susan here, but we do have a video. So bear with us, and I will not speed it up like I like to do. So she's going to play in real time.
I was ready.
And for those of you that were here early, I should have taken roll, because remember Pam said you guys are going to get little nuggets, right, if you get here early. Obviously, Pam's not here today. So, but I would at least let her know. So Christopher,
It's very ridiculous.
is she ready? Okay, so hey, Christopher, can you come up here for a second?
We'll do Susan's video at the end. How about
Bring your coffee.
Just come on in. So we're gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
So you have been with us for how long?
January 22nd.
Okay. And Jay just pointed out, so that's why we're congratulating you that you have your sixth
Is it 6?
contract. Is it six?
7.
7.
Yeah.
So how?
Lot of hours, I'd say.
Yes, you're always here.
Taking notes from the boss right there, Edgar. Hours, open houses. I don't have a big group of people in my circle, so I've been trying to add.
What's your number?
I started off with maybe 50.
But it was 50 that have all the 4 pieces, right?
No,
You have
not
more
even.
than that.
No,
Okay.
now I try to make it a goal to add 3 people every week. So three people a week since I started, and I think I'm a little over 100 now. So just
Okay.
trying to add people every week.
Okay.
But yeah,
All
that's
right.
it. Nothing crazy. Just try my best and meeting as many people as I can. So
All right. Good job.
Yeah.
Christopher.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, we're gonna call that grateful for today, unless anybody else has anything. I'm just skipping over it. Okay. All right. So we've had a little series of listings, right? Like in terms of where we're at, how to get a listing, the listing presentation, all those things. And so now we're going to talk about your listing is live. Now what? So can you please welcome Kathy and Chloe up here? This is just one of them. So,
okay.
so 20, not 27 dresses though. Okay. Okay, ladies, so really we don't have a lot of like formal things to ask you, but if you have your listing and you started to go live, and now it's live, what do you do now? And I know, Chloe, do you want help handing something out? or
Yeah, sure.
2 pages.
We want to send you off with something in hand. So we were starting to, and this is kind of best practice. This approach that Team Red takes on our listings. And so it's kind of stream of consciousness this morning. I think we'll be able to share some ideas with you from this, but also any questions that you have. So I've been in the business for 20 years, almost 20 years. And so we've been through different cycles of the market, right? So having been in markets where things don't fly off and get sold within 5 days, having the skill set to really communicate well with our sellers is something that we dusted off this last couple of years, and had to really bring that back around to being a very robust communication process. So, as we approach this, we're going to break it down into some very specific groupings, and then we'll just talk it through. So each one of you guys have the sheets. So we like to start our listings off with all the marketing that we're going to do. We don't wait to pour more on until, if it's not flying off the market. So we buy the very best of photography, we stage our homes, we make sure they show well. We tell our sellers that it's better to go on the market a little later than it is to go on the market wrong. And so getting those listings really ready, and then, that might take a couple of months, right? So we're in with those sellers all the way through the preparation process. We call it the Team Red Concierge Services model. And we tend to start with the seller's pre-inspection. I think that especially because you guys, most of you know that I serve seniors, right? So that's a niche that we've taken on for about the last 15 years. And the one difference between serving seniors and some of the rest of the audiences is that We often are moving the people out ahead of time. And then we have the vacant house, we're getting them renovated. But last minute stress can completely peak them out. So we go on the market and we've done all the beautification stuff, but then we find out we have rodents in the crawl space is not a good combination. So, you know, we like, and by the way, 80% of homes have rodents in the crawl space. So if you're not doing pre-inspections, then go in your crawl space anyway. So I don't go in the crawl space, so I hire a pre-inspection. So the idea of really knowing the house, I tell the sellers, I want you to put the buyer's hat on for a few minutes. I want you to know as a buyer will, because when a buyer comes in the house, they're gonna get passionate about it. They're gonna love how you decorated it and how it looks, and the yard and everything like that. And when the inspector comes through, they're gonna be pragmatic, right? So they're gonna look at it with a crucial eye. They're gonna check every outlet. They're gonna make sure the electrical panel hasn't been recalled. Make sure you've done your homework first. So all of that being said, we will sign a listing agreement, and oftentimes we have been with that seller for 3 months, because in a senior selling, we have to pack the senior, we have to move the senior, we have to unpack the senior, and now we get to start working on the house. So we do that seller's pre-inspection while we're still with the seller there, and they get to be there and they get to hear the inspector, and that lays our plan. So we put a plan in place. Now, there have been times where we've had the kind of evidence coming out of an inspection that says, you know, this is a great investor house, and we're going to get you the best money through an investor because of the problems that we have here. It's not a financeable house. But that's very rare. And then you always have investors that you can reach out to just give an opportunity to get that home sold. But for the most part, our job, I consider our job to get the highest and best price for the seller. And I tell them, I'm not going to ask you to spend any money that you're not going to at least double in the process of doing the home, okay, taking care of the home. And I also have contractors that we know and trust that do things for very reasonable prices. So all of that being said, this is how we get our listings. And then we get the work done. Now we're staging the house. It's been cleaned. Photography is amazing. We now run our last set of comps and define the price. Okay, so they've got an idea where we're trying to list at, but we have to see what's the market doing right now. So we establish that final price that day of or day before, the week before we're actually going on the market. So now all that work's been done, and I have them excited about, okay, it's finally happening. And so what I do is I put on radio voice, and my very favorite thing to do is read them their marketing comments. And they love hearing how we celebrate their home. So it's just pausing. I just want to read you this. I want you to know what we're saying about the house. And we love on them a little bit, okay? So now we are getting ready to put it live, and all the decisions, the strategies are in place for, are we gonna look at offers, you know, on a certain date? Are we gonna do reviewing them as they come in? And know that that doesn't have to be a set in stone situation. All of a sudden, I've got it reviewing offers as they come in, but I've got so much activity on this listing that I want to give agents the opportunity to see it. So I call the seller and I say, you know, we've got a ton of activity. I'd really like to turn it to moving it to Wednesday. And then if somebody gives us an early offer that, you know, we've had a lot of showings and it's a great offer, it's 50,000 over list, it's cash buyer, they're, you know, it's a great offer. Seller would have no problem accepting this offer. But I feel it's my duty to anybody that has shown the property to know that, hey, look, guys, we make a personal call to every one of the agents that have shown it and say, you know, I just want you to know we have an offer that's come in early, and they are expecting us to give them an answer by tomorrow or tonight. Are you intending to write an offer? And then we find out, at least they have heard, they're not writing the offer and then looking up and it's pending. on the internet, okay? The other time is that I've got the offers coming in and it's tight for time, and I see that we have 4 showings scheduled. I say, go ahead, get your showing done, but go prepared to write, okay? Go into the house ready to write and give me that offer by 5 p.m. And I don't disclose what's in the offers. I feel like if you've been the one to submit an early offer to me, it is with confidentiality that I treat your offer. I know that we have the right to, on behalf of the seller, representing them in best interest. There are agents that will tell you, that, well, in order to win, you're gonna have to whatever, right? And I say, bring your highest and best, okay? We're going to, yes.
Sorry, question. So you don't even give percentages? Because I know some people will be like, is it within 5% of do you do any of that?
I say we are over list on
Okay.
this, so we're getting over list, and I welcome escalation addendums. So feel free to put your very best number in, so that if your buyer happens to lose, you have been able to say to them, you gave us the very best offer, and it wasn't the winning offer, okay? So put your best offer forward, give me as much difference, and I do tell agents this, don't do a $1,000 difference between this offer and any other. Oh my gosh, for $1,000, right? So let's make a big enough difference that it makes people pause. I see $5,000, $10,000, I've seen $20,000 over list. But I want every agent that works with us in a co-listing environment to feel like they were treated fairly. And then the day of the selection process, I take the time to, if it's, let's say we had 20 offers. In the time that we had 20 offers, I don't make 20 calls, but I give a summary of how it went. Yes, we went 15 over. The winning offer waived inspection and gave us $30,000 protection against low appraisal. So they have a sense of what it takes to win. And then, but I always, of course, call the winning offer, get those information out, and put it in there. Okay. So that's kind of that strategy. Let's come back to launching that listing. When you're launching, do a good job of proofreading your work, and oh my gosh, and invest in good pictures, and get the information that it's going to save you a ton of time if you've got the CCNRs already uploaded into your supplements and the as-built and the anything that you can provide that tells your agent about the listing. Just come across very professionally and have that homework already done, because otherwise it's going to be a scramble. So when we do sellers pre-inspections, the seller has the choice to whether they want to ask the buyer to just do their own inspection or reveal the inspection that we've done.
Are you paid for those pre-inspections?
I am not, no.
Do you have a different compensation structure to include that?
So we don't. We ask them to invest in their own home. To a $500 investment in your own inspection is going to save you thousands. This is how we say it. So at the point where we learn a lot about it, they get to make new choices as to what they want to do as a result of that. And I feel that our job is to be in full disclosure. So having information about your house gives us a better chance to really understand what they're being expected to understand already. So in any kind of a lawsuit, even though you may not, if you've done a pre-inspection and you found out there were rodents and you took care of it, or you didn't and you're now disclosing it, that's great. At least you're disclosing it. If you don't do a pre-inspection and you haven't disclosed it, there's a lot of argument that you probably knew it already, right? So we feel, and I know it's not Annie Fitzsimmons' approach, but we feel that being in full disclosure, it starts with really understanding your house.
I think especially with your agent clients too, because most don't go in the crawl space. You know,
Absolutely, they barely go
things get missed.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your strategy the same if your client is not a senior? And when I say the strategy, the way you just said what you said about Annie Fitzsimmons, you know, that's 50, it's almost 50-50. 50 say, yeah, do a pre-inspection, and then there's valid reasons why 50% say don't. Do you change that strategy if it's a non-senior transaction?
Not really, it's the team red strategy.
Gotcha.
And so I say, this is an option. So I want you to know that our standard policy is to encourage you to do a pre-inspection. And if you want to do that, then we're gonna know a lot more about the house and respond. It doesn't matter what age. You get on the other side of that and, and we priced it based on thinking everything is spotless
Right.
or any of that. It just gives us a better approach.
So what does the language sound like if you had an inspection and it needs a new roof, but you're living in the house and the roof doesn't leak? Meaning needing a new roof and
Works
it
fine.
leaking isn't always the same
Right.
narrative, but for a new buyer, the expense is the same. And now I've done a pre-inspection where my trusted home inspector says, you need a new roof.
And so that's a great question, because that's when we start to step in and say, let's have our professional roofers come and look at the house and see if they're able to just clean it and get it.
Patchwork, yeah.
Yeah, well, not even patchwork, it's not leaking. Let's get it well maintained, and then can they get a roof cert? So if we can get a 3-year roof cert on it, we like to do 3 years. I think a 2-year roof cert kind of says you better be planning to buy a roof,
Right.
you know? So, we tend to, yeah, and we tend to go through these steps now with the inspection and then questioning it, right? So we get the professional contractor to come out and take a look at it and get a bid. Sometimes, they want additional bids, and of course that's up to them. But what I don't want to have happen is we get on the other side of an offer and we lose a buyer because of something, and they say, well, I guess I really wish I'd done that pre-inspection. And I said, I understand. At that point, you were making a choice based on your best understanding. But we offered the pre-inspection. It's not like, well, I would have done a pre-inspection, right? It's getting that information in front of people, so.
And then one additional question, as far as paying for these things, especially with a lot of seniors, you have a lot of seniors that have a ton of wealth, but it's in their home, and they don't have a ton of resources sitting in a liquid account.
That's right.
Do you offer pay at close options? Or is that risky because if it doesn't sell,
Yeah.
now somebody's got to pay these?
So we take a lot of risk. I'm gonna say that we take a lot of risk. We, so, first off, we stage houses for free. I pay for the staging, okay? So, it's important enough to us to have it look amazing. It's how people are gonna look at it with the pictures. It's how they're gonna feel about it when they walk in. And so we've had to rethink that. I'm gonna say in 2007, I had a lot of listings and I was paying for staging. And at the end of the year, I was drowning in staging. So we are now adding in that we'll pay for that first 3 months of staging. And then that kind of forces our clients to reconsider price. So at the end of that 3 months, if we're still on the market and I say, at this point, let me see if I could do this for you. I will continue to pay for staging, but we need a $50,000 price reduction. We need a $25,000 price reduction. And so I'm negotiating with them.
Do you write into any of your listing paperwork assurances that since you do spend all of that money upfront, that should they decide to terminate the listing early, like if you allow them to terminate it early, that they reimburse you for that?
It is not in the contract, right?
I have a comment on that though. In fair enough, charge a 3.5% commission for that concierge service.
Gotcha.
Just so you you know, so that makes.
So it offsets it, but that offsets it when you get a closing, right?
Right.
So you talked about the inspection, a seller, I see what their circumstances are. And by choice, I will offer to do the pre-inspection for them and they can reimburse me at escrow, but I'm not gonna pay for bad news. This is my feeling is that if I'm paying for an inspection they really didn't want to see anyway, because it turns out to be bad news, that's not a win. Okay, so they're investing in their home because they want to get a good price for their home, and so I will pay for that. I'll pay for a lot of things. We pay for cleaning, we have a home right now that's listed that we put $35,000 into in order to help a family finish their home. He had pancreatic cancer and they were drained. And we're here to make sure that this all gets taken care of. In that contract, it says if you cancel or go off the market at any point, this has to be reimbursed. But that was paying for renovations on the house. It wasn't paying for staging. They're not paying for staging.
Have you ever thought about starting a 501c3 arm of business?
I have thought about charging for getting that money back a little bit. So
There's
and
also
we have-
companies that will help do that and not take on so much risk.
well, and I understand that these were using my contractors, and I needed my contractors to be able to do that because we had such great pricing. So it was I needed to make a decision at that moment, and it couldn't go through a lot of hoops. So
Are you familiar with house sale?
we do have now with we used to do 50% paid down and 50% at escrow for our contractors. When our time on market started to get longer, we set up, there's a company called Hearth that you can set up for your contractors that will provide a financing option for the people that they have 12 or 18 months even to pay it. But it is, and it's actually not even linked to the property. It's just a loan. It's kind of like Empire Today has the 12-month savings cash program. We use that a lot too.
House samples could be a good resource too. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they'll you put in the property address. They'll tell you how much equity is in there for rehab work. And just with the homeowner's signature, they will allow contractors to register in the portal. And the contractor gives the invoice to the homeowner. They upload it to the portal. They get paid immediately, and the home seller pays back house amp at closing. And I think-
House AMP.
Yep, and I'll send you a link, but this
I
is a
love
good
that.
resource.
You know, this kind of grew, right? So it kind of evolved and grew, and we had a situation and we needed to make a decision, and it's not often that we are that involved. And prayers for our seller. He just had a relapse of his cancer. So you know, this is heavy on my heart every single day, and we want to come beside people in their lives, and it starts with helping them to get on the other side of big situations like this. So so we made a decision, right? It's not a risk that I think I'm going to lose on. There's a ton of equity in the house, and I feel protected, but I also felt like I needed to simplify the situation. So in that case,
Not offered to everyone.
it is
Very
a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Very circumstantial.
Yes, and it's happened probably 3 times where we've been that invested in a home. So
That being said, if anybody would a 3-acre parcel with a view, please let me know.
So it is a great house. So just be really involved in it with your clients and celebrate when you go on the market and be completely there with them. In the launching be very clear that we're gonna review the pricing, how we're gonna be doing reviews. Open houses are gonna be feedback every single day. If you're at their open house, they wanna know how it went. And this also provides an opportunity for you guys to do open houses at our listings. We do have requirements around that, okay? And Chloe's gonna talk a little bit about that.
I get to talk. Okay, so open houses, let's see. So I gave you kind of an example of our external agent open house report that I send out to any agents outside of my team that are holding my open houses. So it's really teeny tiny, but you can see I'm really asking for detailed quantified data to bring back to my seller. We're looking at what was our total group or person count through the whole thing. And then that breaks down into prospective buyer count, either represented by an agent or unrepresented. That being said, if it's an external agent on one of our listings, obviously all of the unrepresented buyers are theirs, but I want to have a good account of who my buyer's agents are for buyers that came through that are represented that I need to follow up with.
So we want to be able to call the agents of those buyers and say, your agent came through, your buyer came through, and I'm going to send you the listing. Please follow up with them. They may be interested in this house.
Yeah, because they're not on showing time, right?
Right,
That's right.
right. So it's one more way of connecting with those.
Well, it's one more way of just making sure that we hit everybody and give everybody the fair chance, I think. Going into seller communication. Okay, seller communication is next. How are we on time? You're good. Okay. That's such an admin thing to say. Okay, seller communication. So these are a couple samples. I gave you some samples of my templates that I use. Again, detailed accounts of all parties, whether interested or not, is really important, whether you have a listing that's flying off the market or a listing that is sitting. So if we're not in a frenzy multiple offers, send weekly Tuesday showing report. What I like about sending it on Tuesdays is that it gives me time to catch up from all of the activity, all the showings, the open houses, all the things that happen over the weekend in real estate. And then Tuesday really gets us a wrap up of the prior week. So that's checking showing time, right? Showing time and the feedback on your listings, starting there. Then I go into Supra and I call every agent that I don't have accounted for or hasn't given showing time feedback. So again, these are phone calls. I've had people tell me to do text messages or emails. No, phone calls are the way to go. Agents love picking up the phone. I get probably an 80% response rate compared to a 20% response rate. So it's super helpful to be able to take back to my seller.
Chloe also has learned what it is we're looking for. So she'll see a showing time report or she'll get into a conversation and you go deep, right? Go deep on it, well, they just didn't really like the floor plan. Well, what would it take? What would it have been like for that to been the right house? And then they start to open up and they really will just, instead of giving you that first response, that lip service response, they'll, she can raise the importance of this up to them and, it just wasn't large enough. Well, what were they looking for, right? Just like you do when you're working for a buyer, you're going deep in the questions.
Yeah, and that's really important too when we have condition problems. Not problems, but potentially concerns, smells, carpet, things like that, which we don't run into too often because our clients primarily let us do the recommendations that we have. But, if I give agents full permission to be very blunt and very honest with me. On my listing, I'm not taking it personally, right? But I need to hear this so that we can remedy it if that's an actual thing that I'm hearing recurring. The your listing story is the next bullet on this. That's the third page. Sorry, it printed at 50% scale. I didn't check that, but that is a supplement that we send weekly as well. And that is just it's a Word document attached in an email, and it has links to all of the websites, all the marketing that it's out on, and the updated view count every week. So it just kind of gives, and then the sellers can take that and share it with friends, family, whatever they want to do.
The cool thing about that is every week you're adding to this this Facebook ads that we put out or these little videos that were put out. We're out here still working for you. It hasn't gone radio silent. And the longer a property is on the market, the more important that communication is. in that first week where it's a fast frenzy and we're trying to be in touch with all those agents, I'll say, you know, we're super busy over here on half of your listing. So we have offers coming in. We're just crazy busy taking care of all those buyers and making sure we can get offers for you. So manage expectations, but also then, you know, if it starts to go, you know, crickets out there, you need to be in greater communication than you have been before. This is the evidence of the things we're sending out. And when you've been sending this evidence of the things you're sending out, you sit down to do a price reduction conversation. There's no, well, you're not doing anything for me, right? You know, so they're not gonna feel like if they just let it cancel and go with a different agent, they know you're doing everything that you should be doing to get attention to that listing, and you keep the loyalty with them as well. So, and the price reduction conversations are, then it comes back to mechanics. I know you want to get this sold, and first off, time on market is not a seller's friend. I use that language all the time. You know, but what if we just got this first offer in? What if, isn't it too soon to look at an offer? Well, your first offer is usually your best offer, or it can't be. So let's treat it as a gift and take a close look at this offer and see what we can do. But just because you want to be on the market for 30 days to see if there's anything else out there, first off, you'll lose this offer. And now you're going to look like you've been on the market for 30 days. And what's wrong with this listing? So let's just keep in mind that early time, that's why we're pouring all of your marketing dollars in at the very beginning, because this is when we're trying to get you that biggest momentum. So, Mr. Seller, I know you wanted to get sold and be in Colorado, you know, by summer, and we're getting pretty darn close to that. We're 30 days on the market, and I want to show you all the homes that sold in your area. Now I'm going to show you all the homes kind of in this bigger area that are like your homes, that are in the price point of your homes. And let's just look at the data together, and I'm going to open up the listings. I'm going to say that our listings looking great because they usually are, but let's look at the other listings that are sold. Well, this one had a water view, so yeah, we're not a water view. And so we start to go through it, and then based on this, Mr. Seller, you know, before I tell you what I think we should list at, where do you think we're going to get more momentum in getting people into your house? What price do you think we should list at? Because we need to drop the price. So I let that silence do the heavy lifting and just sit inside that for a few minutes. It's hard to let it be silent. And then sometimes they'll say, okay, so show me what you think we should do. You know, they don't want to guess themselves. And I say, so I want you to think about searching on the internet. And when you search on the internet for properties, you're very likely going to be searching in $100,000 price range, right? You're 100, you're at it's like 400 or 500 and less. So if we're priced at 519, all the people that would have stopped at 5 aren't going to see your listing. Now, I know we thought that listing at 525 would have been a good price for us, but in order for us to get the momentum back, we need to get under that 500 number so that we get a fresh search from the people that are searching. So it's 100,000 are always searching on that. They're searching on 50s, and they're searching on 25s. So in order to get where we want to go, what's the price that, you know, we could either go 50 down or we could do 25 down, which would you prefer? And of course, what are they going to say, right? But we're going to at least, and so then I think that's a good choice. It still protects you, gives us a little range. And if 30 days from now we still don't have it, then I'm going to be coming back and we're going to have a conversation again. Is that all right? So you're always planning for the next conversation as well. So that's how we do it. I'm sitting in the room with a lot of experts. I'm sure that there's language and scripts around that you guys would be able to add to that. I'm looking at Denise for sure, and Nicole, and all of you guys that are out there doing a lot of listings. and my good competition back there, we had office to office competition. It's so good. So you guys are out there really doing it. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of the rhythm about what we do. You've heard in some of the words I say, the scripts that I use when I'm out there, build mastery around your words so that you can stay calm when they're emotional. So, and always, always, always let them know what you're doing for them and be the one to call them. If they're calling you and asking you about it, you're not calling off enough.
All right.
So any questions? Any more questions?
I would like everyone to know that I put this together in 30 minutes. It's so good.
So she has your consciousness. That's the benefit of a team.
Some great nuggets in there, guys, for sure. So basically, Kathy, one of the things you're saying is that you try to, what does Phil Jones say, put the elephant in the room? Right, so you try to address it all up front at the very beginning, rather than waiting for someone to bring it to your attention. You're like, here's the situation, here's what we're gonna do. So, love that. Okay, oh, okay, here we go. Oh, where are you? Oh.
All right. Yes. Hi, I'm Debbie. Today, she was unexpectedly sick. I was not expecting to get up here, but don't really have much to say other than just a couple reminders that we do have some benefits for you guys as far as like programs that we can do for like list reports and stuff. So if you guys heard some talk about that recently, so if anybody's interested in signing up for that, come and let me know. Or send either of us an email and we can get you set up with that. And then the other thing that I wanted to announce, since Debbie's not here, and hopefully she's not on Zoom.
She's not, yeah, no, I don't think she's on Zoom.
Okay, it's her birthday on
Oh,
May
hi.
4th. And so her daughter is trying to get some because she's an amazing person, as I'm sure everybody here knows. So just hoping to do something a little special for her this year.
Love it.
So that's basically all I got.